So we're jumping on in, and we got another beautiful episode here with Mr. James Alvarez. You guys are probably getting sick of this kid at this point.
Yeah, I'd be sick of myself too. So, I have to listen to Joe all day talk. So this is fun.
Yeah, you guys have no idea the amount of cash that I'm having to pay this guy to do this, but
Yeah, it's a mountain.
approximately $1 here. But at this point, we're gonna be jumping on in, and we're going to España. We're gonna get some tapas. We're gonna go check out the flamenco. We're gonna watch some football.
Yes. Yeah, football, I guess watching in Europe must be like way intense, huh?
Dude, it's so different. I mean, the whole reason I went to Madrid was for I've never seen an actual legit soccer game in Europe ever. And I've been to Europe a couple of times before, but I'd never seen a game. And so, dude, I tried dragging a couple friends to this game. I'm like, I'll pay for your flight. Just come to the game. I'll pay for your ticket. I'm already paying for the room. Just come to Madrid with me. And I couldn't get one friend to come. And I was like, I almost didn't go. And I was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not going to go. This is an experience I wanted to share with somebody, but then I just like got some chutzpah, and I was like, I'm gonna go to this game, and I basically pulled the trigger, bought my flight, and everything when you're in Europe, by the way, is so easy to travel. Before, I don't know if we talked about this in the past, but I'm gonna talk about it again. You just book it on something called Omio, Omio, or Ryanair. Those two apps. Flying from Italy to Spain was $200.
Oh, wow.
$200.
not bad at all.
I'm flying to North Carolina on Wednesday. Guess how much it costs to fly to North Carolina?
It's like $500.
$1,200.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not
Why?
leaving the country. I'm going to North Carolina. There's nothing in North Carolina. No, I take it back for anybody living in North Carolina. But
That's
it's
insane.
like, I'm not going to Madrid. I don't look, it's very frustrating for me, especially after I spend more on this flight to North Carolina than I spent on like 7 flights when I was in Europe. It's just insane. Yeah. You're absolutely correct. So, side note, moving back, tangent. We get back on track, and I'm going to Madrid, and I'm super excited because I'm finally going to see Real Madrid, which has been my favorite soccer team since I was a kid. And it was mostly because Cristiano Ronaldo was there, but he's not in La Liga anymore. And I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fanboy. He's amazing. Obviously, there's an argument Messi's probably the best, but
Definitely.
but Cristiano Ronaldo is by far the most fun to watch. And I prefer the showmanship and the madness and the crazy stuff that he does than just watching Messi, who's just better than everybody.
Because before, you've only seen him on FIFA World Cup, right?
I watched him a lot on FIFA World Cup. A lot. Definitely was addicted to probably FIFA for many years and played online. That's a whole nother problem. We're not going to go down that road. But yeah, huge Real Madrid fan. And dude, so I go out there for this game, and for those of you who don't know what Champions League is, do you know what Champions League is?
No, I'm not familiar with soccer or football.
Okay, so within each country or the major countries, like the Spanish league, so there's Spain, and then there's the Italian league in the country, French league. Those teams play just against French and Italian and Spanish teams.
Okay.
Champions League is the tournament across all of Europe, which includes all of the different countries' leagues, and all the best players from each one of those leagues compete to be crowned the champion of Europe.
I see.
And so this is like the tournament of tournaments. The only tournament bigger than this would be the World Cup or the Euro Cup.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think this one's the best and the most accurate because it's every year.
Mm-hmm.
The Euro Cup's every 2 years, right? And then the World Cup's every 4 years. So I like Champions League. It's sick.
So is this like a specific game you actually wanted to see, like them playing against, or you're just like, oh, I just want to see them play?
So I wanted to go to the semifinals, or I wanted to go to the finals. So in the semifinals, there's 2 legs. So every other game in Champions League is a 1 game, and then you go forward. But the semifinals, is it quarterfinals too, is 2 legs? For anybody out there that's a super nerd, I apologize if I made that mistake. But
I don't even know what a leg is.
So with 2 legs so you play 2 games to go to the next round. Okay. And so you get points. So like the first game, let's say one team. So we'll just use this team as an example. So it was Manchester City versus Real Madrid in this round. Okay. Manchester City in the first game they won the game by 1 goal or 2 goals. by 1 goal. And so that meant that Real Madrid on the next game had to win 1-0 just to go to extra time for the potential of shootouts. So it's on aggregate. So the amount of goals that you score between both games plays on whether you win and you move forward. Because let's say the first game you win 3-0, but the next game the other team wins 4-0. They move on and there's no extra time.
Oh, I get it now.
So it's on aggregate.
Yeah.
So going into this game, Real Madrid was down a goal. They lost 3-2 the first game, so they had to win 1-0 just so that there was an opportunity to go into extra time to keep fighting for
But
it.
they could win if they scored 2 goals.
If they won 2-0, they would be up.
Oh, okay.
So
Makes sense.
I go to this town. The whole reason I went there, I go to this game. Okay, I get outside the stadium. One of the people first of all, I definitely balled out and I was like, screw it. I'm here by myself. I'm gonna buy a nice ticket. I ended up spending $1,500 on a ticket, and I sat row 14, center of the game. I was the ideal spot on Real Madrid's side, and I'm so glad I did, dude. But like, I'm not even at the game yet. I'm just saying, like, I decided to ball out. So what I would say, if you do go to one of these games, ball out. It's worth every penny.
Yep.
Okay? And I get there early. Someone's like, go 3 hours early to the stadium. I'm like, what the heck do you mean go 3 hours early to the stadium?
Yeah.
I get there. Totally worth it to get there 3 hours early. So let me show you just a video of the fans in the streets, okay? These are the fans.
Oh my
in
gosh.
the streets.
3 hours?
Thousands of people an hour, hours before the game. Like, listen to these. Look at this.
Jeez.
So they're singing songs. They have an album on Spotify with all of the Real Madrid songs.
That's
okay.
dope.
Like there's dozens of songs.
They don't mess around.
Yeah. By the time you like leave, by the end of the day, you're like la na 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 na. Like you know the tones of every song. They're super catchy and they're super cool. Sorry, I'm getting excited because this game was super excited. So you're there in the beginning. Thousands of people. They're shooting off road flares.
Jeez.
They're doing M80 fireworks. Everybody's in the street drinking, and I didn't know why until later. But everyone's getting hammered.
Yeah.
Okay, they're all drinking
This
a
is
lot of big
this is
cans.
like tailgating on steroids right here.
Dude, I'm going to say this right now. You are not a fan of a sport unless you are a football fan of a sport. And I don't mean American football. I mean football, soccer, like actual football. Like these people are die-hard fans. Like, look at this.
Oh my gosh. So many people.
That was a flare going off.
Yeah.
And dude, you're out, like I'm out there super excited, thousands and thousands of people. And then I like start walking over to the right. Everyone's like, okay, like let's walk over to the right. And there's thousands and thousands of people. They're all walking to the side and people are literally like standing on each other. Sorry, I'm gonna wait till the video's done. I don't need the music anymore. But there's thousands of people. They're just walking over to the right. Okay, I've never felt so claustrophobic in my life. I'm going to say that right now. When I was walking over to the right and I didn't know where everyone was going, they were literally walking and taking up both sides of the street and standing. Like when I'm telling you, I was not walking. I was just being pushed by people physically because we were on top of each other. Just so that they could go and watch the bus drive by with the players. I didn't even know what I was going to watch.
Yeah.
And then
You're
I
just like, I guess I'm going this way.
Yeah, because I was being physically pushed this direction, and that was it. That was just literally to cheer for the bus as it drove by.
Oh my gosh.
So if you go to a Real Madrid game, I do not recommend going to watch the bus drive by. It's not that great. Just stay with the chanting and the cheering.
Like,
that's way more fun.
That was a cool bus. We didn't see anyone.
Yeah, and that was like even people there were like super close. I mean, like it was fun. But yeah, and then we go in the stadium, and the stadium is...
So go back to that picture. Were they building the stadium still, or was that something else?
They were doing some construction to the stadium.
Oh, okay.
They weren't building it, no. They're just doing some additional construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to fit more people here.
Yeah, we need to fit
Because
more.
there's too many people in the street.
Well, dude, guess how many people the stadium fits?
I don't know, like 80,000.
95,000.
95. Yeah, that's a pretty big stadium.
It's huge. Okay.
Yeah.
So, no, this is the...
It must have been so loud in there, too, huh? Just like
Dude.
95,000 people like chanting and singing.
Yeah. Oh, no, the video is not downloading. I'm going to have to tell the story. Okay, so this was me in my seat, row 14.
Man, you're like right up in there.
Dude, I'm right up in there. Okay, I'm just going to have to tell this story, okay, because the video didn't download. But let me just tell the story. Okay, so I'm at the game. We walk in. First thing I notice when you get in the stadium is that the stadium has no TVs. You know how you go to every stadium here and there's giant screens everywhere for replay? None.
Oh my gosh.
If you miss it,
you
miss it. That's it.
Yeah.
So imagine like the intensity of all the fans who are already the most intense fans in the world, and they're now like watching every moment. And I know people say soccer is boring. It's because you don't know anything about soccer. It's the best. And you just have to understand the skill and the level of skill that comes with playing the sport. And people are watching like intently. We're not even sitting. Everyone's standing the whole time during the game. And these are not short games.
The whole 7 hours.
Yeah, the whole 7 hours. And we're watching the game, and dude, it's like so intense. People are yelling, people are screaming, people are cheering. Like it's really, really amazing. Like, let's see here. Like this is like a video just so you can see how many people are there, because I think it's important to get so you get an idea.
Of course. What is that blue stuff?
It's me excited. What's up? So, okay, long story short.
What is that blue stuff, Joe?
What blue stuff?
There's like blue going all the way across the bottom like row.
Oh, they covered those seats. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they covered that row of seats.
Oh.
I think I don't know actually why they covered those rows of seats. Okay.
Are there people in there or just nobody's there?
No, there's nobody in those seats. Okay. But like back here to the left, this is like the major fans, like the major supporters of Real Madrid. But let's just get to the game, because that's really what's important. So there's 95,000 people. Everybody's going crazy.
Yeah.
They're on top of their feet. They're yelling. Okay. So Real Madrid is down a goal. Okay. The entire game, Real Madrid is dominating. I think they not dominated like 70%. Typically games, you're looking at 50%, 50-50. And Real Madrid is crushing it. They're shooting shots, but they cannot score. They just can't score. And the other team is being complete assholes. Sorry, Man City, but you are being complete assholes. They're just playing slow. They're going 1 mile per hour because they know they're up a goal.
Yeah.
They just have to get it to be 0-0 and they win.
Yep.
So they're not playing forward. They're not trying to score. They're just sitting on their laurels and they're chilling.
Yep.
Also, Pep Guardiola is the coach of Man City. Do you know who Pep Guardiola is?
Of course not.
Okay. So Pep Guardiola used to be Barcelona's coach. If you know anything about Real Madrid versus Barcelona, Real Madrid and Barcelona are the most rivaled football clubs in the history of time. Pep was the coach of Barcelona for a long time. Now he's the coach of Man City. So I'm hearing curses in Spanish that I've never heard in my entire life before. They're telling this guy to like get down on his knees, give his, he gives his mom, like there's just really bad things that are being said. I'm not going to get into
what am I
details.
listening to
Yeah,
now?
but it's in Spanish and I just know it's bad. And like they're literally just like cursing him. Like people are giving Pep Guardiola the bird. Like they're just like it was okay. So the game's going on. It's like the 85th minute. They're subbing out one player, and this guy's being a complete jackass, going 1 mile per hour off the field, just wasting time. And I get it. I played soccer for like most of my youth, and he was being smart, in my opinion, but he was also being a jackass.
Yeah.
And so the whole stadium's cursing him out. They're yelling at him. And it just basically because he took so long to get off, like he took like a minute and a half to get off the field just being an asshole. And he changed the energy in the game. And, with sports, energy shifts.
Oh, yeah.
And so he shifted the energy. And then basically Real Madrid just was like out of whack because all the players were cussing him out and yelling at him for taking his time. And they scored.
Oh, my gosh.
Man City scored in the 85th minute, and I remember at this moment being utterly depressed. I'm like, I just flew all the way here to watch my favorite team lose to these a-holes, and I just spent all this money on this ticket. F this. This was so stupid. Why the hell did I do this? What is wrong with me? Like, all these just thoughts, and I'm, like, starting to sweat profusely, and then I just remember, like, all right. Take a deep breath because they had to score 2 goals just to go to extra time. And there was only like 10 minutes left in the game. And so I'm getting more and more stressed out. And I just like remember taking a deep breath and I'm like, all right, I got to believe. I got to have faith. And I just remembered like this moment where this breeze just like came in. I remember saying to myself out loud, I'm like, that's the winds of change.
Yeah.
They're coming in right now. And
You're
then at
so
that
dumb.
moment, it was they literally subbed out 2 players. And then immediately they got these fresh legs in there. And these guys were like the youngins. Because like Real Madrid, like my era of players is like Like I knew 25% of the team. When I was younger, I knew every player on the team, front and back, who they were. So my legends were getting old. So they subbed out some of the legends and they got in the fresh legs. And these kids, I think the coach knew. He's like, we got to get somebody in there who doesn't give an F and just literally will do anything to get this game going right now. And these guys were going 1 billion miles per hour. They were doing the dumbest things, not playing their positions, but they were instilling life back in the game. And then one of the younger guys, I think it was Nene, he just goes on this crazy run. He just beats like 3-4 players and he just goes all the way up the field and he gets a goal. And like, I'm telling you, like, okay, so tell me, I got to go back a step because you got to understand this. Right when Man City scored a goal a couple of minutes ago, all of their fans were in the top right corner just by themselves. And you see this like little tiny sea of blue in this whole sea of white. And they announce after the goal, all Man City fans, do not leave your seats or the stadium. They have a cage around them.
What?
Do not leave the stadium until you are police escorted out of the stadium. Because after they scored, people were cussing, screaming, like, like literally ready to like fight. People were like red, like heads, like tomatoes, ready to explode, steam coming out of their ears.
This is crazy.
And so, you know, we basically, the Nene, so back to the Nene. So he runs up, he goes, he's dodging, and he just like basically does this crazy freaking like sprint past all these players, and he just gets this goal, and everybody erupts like psychopaths. Now listen, when he scored this goal, it was the 90th minute. Do you know how many minutes are in a soccer game?
9,000.
90 minutes. So because they took so long and they were being assholes, like with injuries and getting off the field, you get stoppage time, which means the ref goes, okay, I recognize that people were being fake injured. You know, people, that's the one thing about soccer that I really don't like.
I love that about soccer.
The fake injuries.
It's hilarious. I'm like, dude, the wind hit you and you like fell. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm like, sometimes they wouldn't even touch each other, and the dude just like falls backwards, like, you know, like someone gave him an elbow straight to the face. And I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah, and then they grab their face when they like get kicked in the leg. I'm just like,
and then once the penalty's called, then they're like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, they're like perfectly fine.
Yeah, what happened to my face? Oh, it's still on my face. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is real. This is real. They have some videos of the worst ones out there where literally they get kicked in the ankle and then they go down grabbing their face like, oh, my eye.
Yeah.
It's like, what just happened here?
Wasn't that your ankle that got tapped?
Like, oh, my God. Yeah. So the refs see that and they recognize that there's some stupid, you know, shit going on. And so they gave 6 minutes of stoppage time, which is like usually you get 2, maybe 3. Okay.
What does that mean? They add 6 minutes?
So yeah, you get an extra 6 minutes. So it was the 90th minute. They scored. And like they are fired up, and all the players, you can just see the look on their eyes, and everyone's like, every fan is like freaking out at this point. And then basically they get the ball and they start just going aggressively at him, like aggressive. They're going back and forth. They get a couple shots, and then it's the 95th minute, and out of nowhere, fucking they get another goal. And fucking dude, like I have never ever felt an energy like that in my entire life. Like 95,000 people freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, freaking out. Like one guy lost his voice. Like I heard his tonsils rip out of his mouth basically because he was freaking out. And like, dude, you have to remember. And, okay, I remember. Side note: the people sitting next to me had their baby with them, and I was just like, "What is wrong with you?
Like, why is your baby here?"
Would you? And they're like, "Dude, we're huge Real Madrid fans. We were not gonna miss this game. They're like, our baby is gonna suffer through this. Like, literally, that was like their mentality."
Did they have like earmuffs for the baby or something?
No, it was the worst thing they could have ever done to their kid. Because I'm telling you, when the eruption of that second goal happened, it was like a volcano. Of just like, dude, I have never seen anybody or people more excited about anything in my entire life. And like this one guy, literally, like his face was red like a tomato.
Oh
like,
my gosh!
He was gonna like explode, and he just like he was jumping over rows of seats, like he was like trying to like, dude, it was so freaking awesome.
Oh my gosh!
And it was, dude, I will never forget that moment for the rest of my life. And just like that was like, and like everybody was on their edge of their seat. People were standing on their chairs. I was standing on my chair, and like I think this was like when the goal happened. I should have videotaped the fans, but dude, I'm
surprised no one passed out from yelling so loud.
I lost my voice. I like literally lost my voice. Nope, this. Yeah, I think the video that I first showed you, this was it. Yeah, this was just like. Yeah, as you can hear my excitement. Dude, it it was so
Oh my
epic.
gosh.
Yeah, okay. And so they go then, so now they're up 2-1, but remember, it's aggregate.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean they win. It just means we go to extra time.
Yep.
So we went to extra time, and then in extra time, basically what happens is Benzema is the last legend of the players that I've followed my whole life, and he's going in and he beats all the players, and he gets down to like the end, and one guy slide tackles him from behind in the penalty kick box, so he gets the penalty kick opportunity, and he got his goal. So I think this is it.
Oh, look at everybody.
Dude, I'm getting goosebumps. I remember this moment. Like, dude, oh my God. Like, oh my God. It was so epic. So epic.
Oh my gosh. Look at that crowd.
Dude, yeah.
These people are losing their mind right now.
Losing their minds, dude.
They are on fire.
Yeah, dude. It was... You hear the guy, goal! Yeah.
They are fired up, dude.
They do say the goal, 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 goal. Like, dude, it was straight out of a movie.
Oh
like,
my
they
gosh.
couldn't write the script to this game better than it played out in real life. And I just remembered leaving there, like, one, super stoked I bought that ticket.
Yeah.
And, like, two, just, like, smiling from ear to ear for, like, days, dude.
I think because you like felt every emotion, because you were just like, oh my God, we suck. It's 85 minutes in. We got 900 minutes left.
Dude.
We're not going to score. And then at the end, this just all happens. Wow.
Dude. It was so, that's going to be one of the best memories of my life for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude. And it was like, that was a moment too where I realized I can have a great time even if I'm by myself.
There you go.
Yeah. And side note too, which is hilarious, the reason everybody was getting so shit-faced before they got in the stadium, they don't serve alcohol in the stadium.
Oh, what?
They don't serve alcohol in the stadium because the fans are too violent.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they
I see
literally
now.
won't serve them alcohol. And I'm like walking around like seeing all these people with beers. And I'm like, where'd you get your beer? Where'd you get your beer? Like, oh, right there at the bar. And I go up to the bar. I'm like, yeah, can I get a beer? And they're like, oh, it's non-alcoholic. I'm like, why are people drinking a bunch of non-alcoholic beers?
You're like, I'm getting a contact high off of this non-alcoholic.
Like, that's like actually what's happening. Yeah. And so, dude, it was so epic.
Well, that's awesome too.
Yeah.
Like you got to go see your team.
Yeah,
You know, they won,
Dude,
and they
not
won
only
by
that-
like at the end on crazy like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The championship was a couple weeks later. They won. Real Madrid
Oh
won
my
the
gosh.
Champions League.
How awesome
and
is that?
They won 1-0, and I really wanted to go to that game. But that game, the cheapest ticket was $2,500 for like the worst seats.
Oh, all the nosebleeds.
Yeah,
huh?
the nosebleeds. Because I was thinking about flying me and my mom and my dad. And now that I think about it, you know, like money's meant to be spent. I probably should have just done it because we were in Europe. It would have been so epic. But like we were in Italy again, and we would have flown to Paris. The game was in Paris, and it would have cost like $10,000 for us to go to the game. But yeah, dude, it was one of my favorite memories for sure. And dude, I honestly like. Just even now, like I feel like it was just such the right decision, and I'm really glad I listened to my gut and went to the game. It was super
I know you're all fired up and sweating again.
I'm all sweaty for sure. Like I am excited. Yeah. And so that was the game. And then after that, I wanted to explore Madrid a bit. And so what I learned about Madrid was, you know how like obviously you've been learning I'm a super nerd when it comes to art history and like paintings.
Yep.
Guess where the best painting museum in the entire world is?
In Spain.
In Madrid. Literally where I was. And I had no idea.
Well, there you go.
Dude, I like literally, okay, so
How did you find that anyways?
I just started Googling museums because I was like on that kick. And then I literally and then I messaged Luca back from Florence, and I'm like, Luca, hey, is there anything to do in Madrid? And he's like, go to Museo del Prado right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you have to go here. I'm like, do you know any tour guides? And so I went in a group tour, and I go in this place, dude. It is the biggest museum I've ever been to. It's 4 stories, and it's miles of walking, miles. Like I think it's like 7 to 10 miles is the full distance when you walk through the whole thing. And I get in there and I'm just like, where am I in like painting heaven right now? And so the way that it's super cool. It's super cool. So like when it comes to like art and like history, obviously Italians have a lot of the art because they were the first Roman Empire, right? And
Yep.
they were the ones that created a lot of art and that had an influence to the world. So they of course have the masterpieces because they originally created them. And so that's why a lot are in Florence. But then why do the French have a lot of the best masterpieces in the world? They were the next empire. Napoleon Bonaparte came in, he dominated most of Italy and stole a lot of the art, and that's why a lot of paintings and art are in the Louvre in Paris. And now the reason that the biggest museum in the world is in Spain is because they were the final and last empire in our history. They were from the 1500s to the 1800s. So thus, they stole art from everyone else. So they had the biggest gathering of all the greatest masterpieces because they stole from everyone.
Interesting.
And so they had it in one place. And so I'm walking in this place like Disneyland for art nerds. Like, dude, and I'm telling you, like, I spent 3 days with the curator of the museum, thanks to Luca. It took us 3 days to get the
Yeah, I was
whole
gonna say,
museum.
oh my gosh, this has been hours and hours of just walking.
Dude,
like
it
you have to
was-
like take breaks.
Dude, and yeah, take breaks, yeah.
Yeah. So did you do like floor by floor, or did you just do like section? Is there like
We started with the oldest, and then we went like
I see.
chronologically. He just was the leader, obviously. I'm just following him, and he would give lectures on all these paintings and all these artists, and he knew so many different details and like idiosyncrasies. And so the weird thing about this museum is they don't let you take photos or videos. I still took some, but
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm sure you managed
But,
to take some.
Dude, I didn't understand because when I went with the group, I actually got in trouble because I was just like taking pictures and videos like I do in every museum.
They're like, hey, sir,
it's
sir,
a museum.
stop
I
it.
should share photos and videos with the rest of the world so
Yeah.
you can come check it out. Like Spain, figure it out. Like what the heck is wrong with you guys?
Maybe because it would probably take like so much longer for people to go through this thing, and I don't know, why wouldn't you allow people to take photos?
Dude, it's like free advertising. It's like, hey, you have the dopest art in the world. Maybe we should share it with everyone else so you can come and check it out. Like, I think that kind of makes a little bit of logic. But no, that's not how they think at all. The way they feel about it is it's ours. It's our paintings. You must come to our country so you can see it. And look, that's all fine and dandy. And I think that's how they feel about drone footage too. But it's art. It was
Yeah.
created by the artist to be shared. It's not
Yes.
meant for one person or for people in specific areas. So we'll get off my high horse for a second. But Museo del Prado was the shit. And I took a couple pictures. Let's see here.
Yeah, so
This was one of them that was one of my favorites. Okay. Look at this painting. This painting is a painting with paintings within paintings. And it is a masterpiece of just paintings within paintings. And each one of these paintings in the painting is a masterpiece.
yeah,
What the heck?
this is awesome.
Dude,
Is this like a massive painting? Like
it's huge. It's
yeah.
huge. It's probably the size of this wall.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And-
pretty big.
And listen to this. Listen to this. Okay, this painting, you see how it's cut off on the top?
yeah.
It was stored in a place that lit on fire, and so we lost pieces of it. So imagine it was twice
no.
the size, I believe. Maybe not twice the size, but at least a quarter more, I remember. But it was a lot larger. And so this is like an example of some of the paintings. And I apologize for the lighting on it because I was taking the photo of the paintings with my phone in my hand like
Illegally?
this. I was doing it like this, pretending I wasn't taking photos, pressing the side button. And so I took a lot of photos that did not come out properly because I was trying to be like sneaky about it. And the guy I was with, he was like the curator and he was all like, you know, kind of be sneaky about it. And so I was being sneaky about it. But yeah, it was super cool. And so that one's cool. And honestly, this room was my favorite room. This is another one with pictures within. Oh no, I think it's the same one actually.
That's the same exact
same one.
picture
Sorry.
within pictures.
Sorry, bro. My bad, bro. Okay, so this museum has actually a painting by Bosch. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up because this was a triptych. Triptych means three that are part of one. Okay, this was the left side. This is one of the most famous paintings in the history of mankind. Okay, this guy's paintings, also Bosch's paintings, inspired Alice in Wonderland and a lot of the most famous paintings in history. On the left is heaven. In the middle is, no, sorry. On the left is the Garden of Eden and like the beginning of Genesis. In the middle is heaven, and on the right is hell. Okay, we're gonna look through these because you got to see this. This is super cool. Okay, and inside of these paintings, we'll just start on the left one so you can kind of see here. So on the left one here, you see everything's good. It's beautiful. Everything's cool. We have unicorns. We have all these animals, all this like beauty and pleasure. And then there's Adam and Eve. See, all these animals are cool. And then you can see on the bottom when things start to turn bad. This is when God, or when God casts Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, and you can see the animals are now starting to turn in each other and kill each other. And then on the right, there's hell. And hell is this super like gruesome and strange situation. Actually, Bosch, that's a self-portrait of Bosch. There's like a bagpipe that looks like it's lungs. There's a ears with a knife coming out of it, all kinds of strange things. And then here, this was actually the inspiration for Alice in Wonderland, the White Rabbit.
What?
Yeah. And it came from this painting, which was super cool. So yeah, this is one of the paintings there.
I wonder why he drew his face like in hell.
Yeah, and then another painting is like, this is Francisco Goya. Francisco Goya he was the painting that was like the royal family in Spain. They had specific artists that were like their designated artists for like a story for a specific time. So Goya was like the Rubens, Goya, and another gentleman, Hernandez, were the ones that Velázquez were the painters for the royal family at one point in time. And so they painted a lot of history. So this was a painting, I forget what the exact day is, but essentially it's where the Spanish people were revolting against Napoleon Bonaparte, and he sent Egyptian people because he was in charge of the Egyptians, and so these were Mameluke soldiers, and when they revolted, they killed a bunch of the Egyptian soldiers, and then that was the day before, and then the next day was basically where, because they revolted, they were killed by the French soldiers. And he was showing a political statement here. You can see that, he says the Spanish people were proud, they're showing their face, and then the French were cowards, they don't show their face, and he showed them from behind, basically portraying them massacring the Spanish people. Yeah. Okay.
Wow, I'm getting a full history lesson here.
You are. The bottom line is we're not going to go too much more into the Museo del Prado, but if you love art and you love history and you love paintings, I didn't know about it, go to Museo del Prado in Madrid. Super cool. Now, the last two things I want to talk about in Spain, or in Madrid, not in Spain, are the flamenco is one of them. So the flamenco is a beautiful dance, and I'm just going to share a video because that's the best way to do it. My video is not great. I apologize to a bunch of people in front of me, but this is the best one I have. The slow, and then I want to show you when they were dancing fast so you can see the different dynamics of it.
Is this guy tap dancing too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
awesome. How do people spin like that? Like, have you seen people just like I'll spin like two full 360s and I'm like falling over. These people like spin like 80 times and yeah. It's crazy.
I remember watching a video on Facebook last night of the world record for the beat boy who spins the fastest on his head. He must have spun a couple hundred times in like less than a minute, and I don't know how he isn't puking sideways.
Yeah,
like,
what happens to your brain? Does it get pushed to one side?
I have for sure, right? With the G forces with that. But the flamenco, if you go to Madrid or you go to Barcelona, go see the flamenco. I just remember sitting in there and like, you know, when you watch like a true form or expression of like art through the body, and I don't like the opera was amazing, but I think I liked the flamenco more than I liked the opera. These people were, you know, expressing themselves, and like each time they move their arms and like the way they're moving their feet and the speed that they're moving their feet, like they're dripping in sweat. They're giving it everything they have, and they're expressing it without any words. And then you have this guitarist, like the Spanish, I think, in my opinion, I think the Spanish guitar is like probably one of the most beautiful instruments of all time.
Yep.
And people are just jamming a million miles per hour on this thing. And then you have the dancers, and then you have the live singers, which are these old senoritas typically, and they're all just fully passionate for it. And it was just like, I just remember sitting there just being like in awe, and it was so cool, and it was really inspiring. And what it came to my mind too is like, I've always loved dancing. You know, we've always enjoyed dancing and having a good time. And I wonder too, in a different life, if like the passion that we had for dancing, if my parents would have ever like inspired that or like supported that, what it could have been and meant for me as a child, and just like having those kinds of passions.
Yeah, you could be like the 8th Jabberwocky.
I mean, hey, dude, that's the thing though, right? It's like, but that's something that I just had a genuine interest in, not because like I was being told to do it or because it was going to make me money, but we just enjoy doing those things.
Yeah, it's fun. We all love dancing. I mean, some people don't, but I think it's just like, for me, it's like you're just like expressing yourself, and you can dance like freely. If you don't care about what people think, like dancing is just so much fun.
Dude, I agree. And like look at this guy. Like when he like does these moves, like you can like feel the emotion. You can see it. It's like a full body expression. And I just like, I was jealous, you know, because I just felt like I was watching, like, you know, when you just see somebody doing something and you feel like you're seeing their soul.
Yeah.
I felt like I was seeing this guy's soul, and like even the girl, there was a girl dancer too. I felt like I was seeing her soul, and like seeing them in their truest, highest form of expressing themselves. Because like this was the nicest flamenco place in all of Madrid, and so this was the top echelon. Like there was gonna be no better place. It was pretty pricey, a couple $100 for my dinner and for the show, and it was worth every penny. And these guys were peak performance, peak athletes, peak at the best show probably in the world for flamenco, and I was seeing it, and it was just like really inspiring. And so the reason I'm bringing it up is, you know, for those people, you feel a genuine passion for something, explore that, go after it. You know, like I'm sure that these people, that's actually what they strive and love to do every single day, or they're faking it better than I can ever understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see people dancing, especially if you're really good at it. Like it's an art. It's definitely an art. And, you know, I don't know. For most people, it doesn't come easy. So it's just like, imagine the hours and hours like you put into this, you know, and you have to be in like tip top shape too. Yeah. Like you're literally doing a full body workout every time you're doing this. I mean, when he went to like the tap dancing part, like he's moving his feet really fast. Like, I mean, it's legit.
Yeah, and like you said too, I think people have trouble dancing because I think that dancing is an expression of your soul, right? It's an expression of what you're feeling, and I think people have trouble dancing because they have trouble expressing themselves. And I know for the last couple of years, while I've been going through my depression, I was afraid to dance. And, you know...
Really?
Like, dude, 100%.
We used to be like dance machines, bro.
That was when I was young, wild, stupid, and free. Having a good old time with you, not giving a fuck, and just dancing on the dance floor.
Yeah, and then OLD caught up to you, and then you couldn't move, huh?
Stupid. But I mean, dude, yeah, just like I got more self-conscious as I got older. I started caring too much about what other people think, like all the things that you don't care about. And like you saw me like at the wedding that we were at recently, dude, that was the first time I danced in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, and I was having a ball with you, but obviously, you know, we've always brought that out in each other. But dude, My whole trip, I did not dance like that once. I did not express myself in that way.
What?
Dude, and like, yeah, and obviously you know how much like I love dancing, and I was
Dude.
like super self-conscious or like felt weird about it.
I felt like the dance floor was like our like home base. It's like, dude, meet me on the dance floor. Which part? You know what part?
Yeah.
Back left, right there. We'll be in the center. Yeah. I mean,
You're not
that was like the
wrong.
most fun like I had. And plus, like, I mean, we'd be like sweating like crazy, but like at the same time, we were just having fun, enjoying the music, being ourselves, and not caring about what anyone thought. Like, remember we used to do the stupidest dance move, like
Stupidest dance
so dumb.
But
We
they
thought we
were
were so
so
cool.
much
We're like,
fun.
yeah, that was like, here, let's make up a dance move. Yeah, that was cool.
Dude, it's literally we were just young and expressing ourselves and just having a good time. And you know, there's one thing, a big lesson too. I was always shy with dancing with Beth also, but like if you're in a relationship with somebody and they want to dance with you, you get your butt up and
Yeah.
you dance.
You do it.
And you don't look back, because there are so many times in my relationship now I look back and I was like, why was I such a weirdo and why didn't I want to dance with her?
Yeah.
And it's like, what was I afraid of? Other people looking at me dancing, you know, like other people seeing us like being romantic with each other, other people being jealous, or like me offending people with our relationship. Like all
What?
of these things, dude, were like stupid, strange thoughts that I had. And no, I don't want to use the word stupid, but just like they were illogical, irrelevant, and unnecessary. And I kept myself from having these moments and feeling good, because the bottom line is, you ever danced your butt off and not felt good after?
Oh, man.
Man, you got to shake your booty.
It's probably because Beth is a way better dancer than you.
She's a way better dancer. I'll give that to her.
Yeah.
I heard we were talking recently, and she's been doing dance classes. And,
See?
dude,
Dude.
I
Is she
kinda-
teaching them now? She's probably teaching them now, huh?
Maybe. I mean, dude, it's like I got jealous, and at the same time, I also got super self-conscious. I'm like, I kind of want to do a dance class, but I feel like it would be weird. I'm like 34 years old going back to dance classes, but that's what passions and that's what hobbies are for. Like, why
Yeah.
do I feel so weird and self-conscious about what other people think? They're all doing the same thing as me in these classes.
Exactly.
So yeah, maybe you should hold me accountable to that. Maybe I'll go take a class and come show you the routine on the next episode.
Yes. Yes, please. Yeah. Send me a routine. Next wedding we go to, we're going to bust it out.
Dude, I'm down. That could be a lot of fun. All right. So moving on from that, I wanted to share the story about the Palace of Madrid. This is the Palace of Madrid. If you have not been to Madrid, go to the Palace. It's the most bland building ever from the outside. Inside, there's all of these different rooms. And
Bland, dude. Look at all those pillars and...
when I'm saying bland, it's like so this was also another place that I couldn't take photos or videos, but they had security guards in every room, like making sure you didn't take photos or videos. Go to the Palace in Madrid. Each room was decorated in a different style. Some room, the walls were sewed with silver stitching, like silver metal stitching.
What?
And gold metal stitching. Like literally the walls were gold and the walls were silver. It was
That's
insane.
crazy.
Some rooms were oriental, some rooms were blue, some rooms were, and what it was is the very last emperor, king of Spain, was the opposite of all of his previous brothers. He was not a leader. He was not motivated. He was not this guy that wanted to conquer things. He was a super nerdy, weird guy that liked collecting art. So
Yeah.
once again, just like the Medicis, we have to thank this weirdo for not being, actually I take it back. We have to thank this gentleman for not being like his parents, where they just dominated and killed everyone and took over other nations.
Yeah.
He just cared about art and collecting art. And so he had all this beautiful stuff in the palace, and I highly recommend going. And also, the palace in Madrid is where I almost got arrested for flying my drone above it. And I don't recommend doing
It wouldn't have been shocking to get a phone call like, here's a collect call from Madrid jail.
James, I'm going to need you to fly out here real quick so you can help out with this.
Yeah.
And
Be like, sorry, he forgot to read the rules that are plainly stated in front of your building.
okay, so this was like, let me just show you a video of like, this is me actually flying it above the palace. Might as well show you the shady footage that I got. But this is the palace.
Ooh, look at that.
Yeah. And there's this beautiful garden right here, and I'm just doing it out in the open.
I love when they have like
Not the
really...
brightest.
I love when they have like these little gardens outside that are,
Yeah.
You could tell that the landscaping had some thought into it.
Yeah, for sure. And let's see one more video here. play. Yeah, this is the palace. It's
Yeah.
super cool, right?
Yeah,
But
very
it's,
cool.
but when I meant like bland, it's just like when I'm talking about like the ornateness of the rooms inside, it's just complete different dichotomy. Okay. Cool. Okay, we're gonna move on because I want to get going with some stuff, and start getting to. Let's talk about Ibiza. All right.
Yeah, tell me about this wonderful magical place.
So I went from Madrid to Ibiza, and before I got to Ibiza, I thought there was something wrong with me. There was a lot of things wrong with me. As you
Yeah, I was
pointed
like,
out.
we named it all,
And
mostly.
I like was lonely. I was depressed. I was not confident in myself. I still felt like a loser. I was like this weirdo that didn't know how to like have my self confidence back. And essentially, I go to Ibiza and I met up with a friend there. And when I was hanging out with my friend, it kind of gave me that confidence boost that I didn't have throughout my entire trip, because this was the first time I'd been like hanging out with like a homie in like a actual like scenario that was like a little bit more fun or a little bit more party atmosphere. Yo, welcome on back.
What's up, Joe?
How you doing, Mr. James?
Oh, it's been an amazing day
Yeah.
here in
moved.
beautiful Orange County by the Crystal Cathedral that Joe said wasn't the Crystal Cathedral.
Sweating our pants off the whole day.
Yeah. You're sweating. I'm not.
Get out of here.
You're the one under fire, bro.
Well, on that note, we're going to Ibiza or Ibiza. I don't even know. Spent a couple weeks there, and whoever says that to me just would piss me off is really what it comes down to. But I went to Ibiza, and Ibiza is exactly what you think it is. It is party central, party town, rage city. Just, it is exactly all the things and the stereotypes that people say about it is exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about Ibiza, actually, before we get into it?
What I've known about Ibiza is like they have really cool beach parties. And it's like what you said. It's almost like a club, and that's what the city is, a club. It's like nonstop partying. Beautiful people from around the world just come here and, get together and have some fun. And yeah, that's all I know about it.
I mean, everything you said is exactly what it is. So Ibiza, in a nutshell, is this beautiful little island, gorgeous island, where people from all over the world come to party for days on end. And I mean days on end, nonstop. Because this place is more insane than Vegas. Vegas doesn't have anything on Ibiza, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The best parties in Ibiza were like Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday nights. And I'm not talking about like where you go to a club maybe in the States, or everybody's been to a club in the States where you have a couple hundred people maybe on a Monday night if it's a big DJ. I'm talking about packed club till 7 a.m. with thousands of people raging till 7 a.m. on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It is insanity.
Yeah.
It is insanity. I don't know how any people live there. And the thing is, a lot of people from other countries, they all go to Ibiza to work there.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that live and work there do not make a lot of money. I actually feel really bad for them. Many of my friends that did live there, they're living on the smallest salaries. Living in Ibiza is extremely expensive because all the tourists raise the cost of living for all the locals like crazy. And so, there's this dichotomy between the people trying to live there and make money, and then like all the tourists coming in and making it very difficult on them.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I met up with my buddy, and we went out the first night I got there, Monday night, to the best party in Ibiza, which is called DC10. And we go to this party, and I am so glad I went to this party. I almost didn't go out because I was tired. I went out, and it was the best decision because before this trip, before I went to Ibiza, I thought I couldn't make friends anymore. I thought that was it. I didn't know how to make friends anymore. I'm a loser. I'm a weirdo. Nobody wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to hang out with me. First night I go out, I hang out with my buddy. He introduced me to all his friends, and I make like 20 friends. And I still talk to some of them to this day. And a lot of people I met the first night, it was just like more my vibe. A lot of Burning Man like type-esque people, a lot of partiers, and just like, I don't know, I'm social, and all these people were social, and they all spoke English.
Yeah. So when you got to Ibiza, how was like your mind state from, leaving Italy and Spain, or sorry, Italy and Madrid?
So I was in a weird place because I still hadn't spoken to any girls, so I thought there was something wrong with me there. I hadn't made any friends, so I was in a weird space there. But I had definitely had a lot of awareness and a lot of realizations about my biggest character flaws and ego issues. And so I felt like I had worked past a lot of like my major ego problems and issues that I didn't understand or know before. But I was not fully to the person that I wanted to be. And I also still had not been able to talk to girls or even flirt with girls or communicate with them. And so where I was mentally was still in my depression, I feel like, and coming out of it. But Ibiza was a great place to remind myself that I'm still a good person. I can make friends and be social.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're probably even like more so rusty, right? Because you've been with Beth for what, 6 years?
So with Beth for 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe Rusty was part of it, but I think what you pointed out in one of the earlier episodes was I was just depressed, lonely, and feeling
Yep.
weird. Nobody wants to be hanging out with a depressed, lonely, and feeling weird person. So, you know, you go out on Ibiza, have a couple drinks, like anything, you get liquid courage in your system, and you're
Yep.
back to normal.
There you
And
go.
so, it's funny. I made more friends, more Italian friends on my first night in Ibiza than my entire trip in Italy. I made friends with 3 girls, which were super cool. Elisa, Gemma, and Sarah, and they all spoke Italian fluently. And it was so funny to me that I made more Italian friends in my first 5 minutes of being in Spain than I did in Ibiza than I did in my entire trip in Italy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did they
it was cool.
did they tell you the same thing? Yeah, no one wanted to speak to you. Everyone speaks English.
I didn't really get that much into it with them. I just was stoked to have friends, so I didn't want to
Yeah.
tell them about my depressing, lonely part of my journey.
Yeah, you
And
probably
so-
want to keep that to yourself. While you're out having fun with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun. The club ended at like 5 in the morning. Well, actually, we left at 5 in the morning.
The club was still
club
going.
was still going at 5 in the morning, and that was like part of it. Is like you gotta like have some self control in Ibiza, otherwise you just get kind of swept into the madness of it all.
Yeah.
And we were going out to the clubs, and it was fun. And each club, and it was funny. I was there during off season, right? And so off season, the clubs have thousands of people, and in this off season, I'm sitting there just like. I just couldn't believe this was off season. There were so many
Yeah.
people and there was barely room in the club. And I'm like, why would you want more people in the club? Like that was more my thoughts.
What does the off season mean? Just like it's not like
I was
the most
there-
crackingest time, or
Yeah, I was there early June, mid-June. And they're like, oh, actually season doesn't start till like July, August. And that's when it actually gets really packed here. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to be here when it's that
Yeah.
packed. I end up going back to Ibiza later.
Mhm.
And it was like 2-3 times as packed, and it was insanity. But I went to a bunch of the cool parties. It was a lot of fun. It was great. Highlights from the trip were that I had my wallet stolen in one of the clubs. Yeah, I said highlights from the trip. It actually
that was one of my highlights of your trip.
it ended up being actually the best thing that happened to me in Ibiza, because before that I was only planning on spending a week there. And then it was another lesson from God, which was I just got to like relax and let things go and go with the flow.
And
so-
not wear a satchel.
Don't. Yeah, I actually ended up getting robbed for my cowboy satchel. I was in the club, and for anybody who goes to Ibiza, just be wary. I was dancing with some friends I met on the dance floor, bachelorette party, and I get bumped super hard from behind. And next thing I know, I turn around, it's this taller African American gentleman, and he just like was wearing this super trippy weird shirt. I'm like, why is this shirt so like obnoxious? And then
Yeah.
like I start getting tapped on the shoulder by these girls that were friends with him, these 2 like white girls, and then they're just like tapping me on the shoulders, and they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry for bumping into you, blah blah blah. And next thing I know, I'm like, okay, no problem, bye. And then next thing I know, I just like reached in my wallet because I wanted to go get a drink, and both of my pockets were completely open, and they had just taken everything that was in there. And for me, it was my wallet and a bunch of cash.
Oh
And-
my gosh.
And so I was like, I knew I'd been robbed at that moment. It was like I kept running it through my head. I'm like, why would these be open? Somebody stole my stuff. And so I start freaking out. I'm stressed out, obviously. And
Yeah.
I just been out with some friends all night, and like I just like told a couple of them. They went with me to the front, and I was like, all right, I need to just give in to this, kind of relax a bit, and just let it go. And you know, I let it go, and then I basically decide, okay, I need to figure out what the solution is. And the solution was, I was like, okay, I can get my cards shipped to a friend on the island here. I could go home. I would have to go home to get new credit cards. I luckily didn't have my passport on me. They just took my driver's license, so that was okay. And I end up, I posted on my social media story and I was like, why am I posting this on my story? This is stupid to do that. But I just wanted to let people know, watch your stuff.
Yeah.
And then I luckily get a message from my buddy back at home, and he tells me his fiance is coming out to the island to come for her bachelorette party, and she's going to be there in 4 days. And so luckily I order all my cards to her place, and she brings me everything. But it was like the perfect time. I really liked Ibiza because I finally felt like I got in a rhythm on my trip. I gave up, I let go, I stopped fighting things, and I was going to the gym every day. I was working every day. The gym was the dopest gym. It was on the beach. It was super cool. You watch sunsets as you're working out. Like, it doesn't really get much better than that.
Yeah.
Which was super rad. And then from there, I remember reading these 2 books, and they were dating books. Dude, I literally was reading books on how to date. Like, that's where I was as a person. Like, I had lost confidence in myself. And one of the books was called Models. I recommend it to any guy that's trying to get back in the dating scene. The book gave me like 3 perspectives. One was, first, understanding that rejection from a girl is actually a gift. If a girl rejects you, she's doing you a favor. And it's not easy for people to reject you. It sucks. You have to like emotionally tell someone, hey, I'm not into you. This isn't working out. But a girl's giving you a gift because she's rejecting you because she might not like you. It might be a personality problem. Maybe she has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Maybe she's got other things that just aren't going to make it work. But just take that as a gift and move on.
Well, she's saving you time, bro. Like,
exactly
it's
what
just
I'm
like,
talking about.
oh, no. Okay, then move on to the next.
Yeah. Second thing it gave me was clear communication. You know if a girl is into you, and you don't know if a girl's into you. If you're sending a girl 3 text messages and for her 1 text message and she's sending you like 1 word, she's not into you, bro.
Yep.
I definitely was this person. And so so I had to have this big come to Jesus conversation. He's like, but he's even like, it's like with conversations with chicks, like you can just tell with body language, with the things they're saying to you, the way they're reacting to you, like you know whether a girl's into you or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I learned it for me because I was like trying to text these chicks and like trying to get them to like hang out, just have conversation. And then like he gave a tip in the book. He's like, if you're really unsure and you think you don't know, but you know, is what he said in the book.
Yeah.
You text a girl this. You just be blunt with her. Hey, so I'm texting you obviously because I'm interested in you. Are you not interested in me? What's the situation here? Just ask. And
Yeah.
just be blunt about it. And I did that. And then the girls were like, yeah, I'm not really that into you. I was like, great. Okay, perfect. So it worked. Because the girls that were into me, they were texting me like 4 or 5 times. Like for my, like, it was the opposite, right? They would message me multiple times for my 1 text. And it was just like a big realization. She's either into you, bro, or she ain't.
Yep. Yeah.
There's not a lot of in between with that. And then the last thing it gave me was like, you missed 100% of the shots you never take. So if you're not in the club, you're not in the bar, you're not in church, wherever you're going to meet girls or try to meet girls, if you're not walking up and saying hello, it's never going to go anywhere. Girls, 99% of women, just because of how like our history and like heritage is, are never just going to walk up to you and start talking to you.
No.
Yeah. So like most of the time, like we're trained that to go and approach a woman. And so it starts with, like, one thing he also said too is don't just go up and tell a pretty girl she's pretty. She knows she's pretty. Everybody calls her pretty.
Yep.
Just go up and say, hi, my name is Joe. Nice to meet you. And just strike a conversation. And a girl is going to let you know in the first 5 seconds whether she's interested or not.
Yeah.
Right? And then you just go from there. So those were big realizations.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you know that now because you did know that, Joe.
I know I knew that. But sometimes you need to read a book.
Yeah, you got to read a book to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just like reminders, right, where you are in life. And then I read another book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. In my whole life, I felt like I've always been like a nice guy. And the premise of the book is that a lot of us have been raised to be nice guys, not raised to be nice guys, but we've been through a lot of childhood trauma that have made us into nice guys because we didn't receive love from our parents. And so because we didn't receive love from our parents, we're trying to do anything we can to please other people. Mm-hmm. And so what ended up happening for me was I finished this second book, and there was a part in the second book where I had this epiphany where my brain like exploded. And it was this part in the book where I talked about how like in the Industrial Revolution, men stopped raising their kids. A lot of men started going to work all day long. They were not around. And so boys were getting raised by their mothers, their overbearing mothers that, you know, I don't want to use that. Not all mothers are overbearing, but many boys got raised by overbearing mothers or mothers that were absent. And so a lot of us are just still these hurt little boys looking for our mother's love and attention through any female and trying to get it any way we can. And for me, this was huge because I was going out in Ibiza and I'd read that first book and I didn't understand why I was still so depressed. So when I would go out, I was literally depressed if a girl didn't talk to me and flirt with me and give me attention. I didn't have to like hook up with her, but I needed attention. And I didn't understand why. That no matter what, if I had the best night out with my friends or guys, you know, the boys or whatever, or even just a good time meeting people, if a girl did not give me attention, I did not have a good time. And it made me so sad. And what it made me realize from this book was I'm still this hurt little boy looking for my mother's attention from any female that will give it to me. And the only way I feel validated is when another girl gives me attention. And no matter what I have to do to get it, I'll do it. Whether it means being super nice, being overtly kind, going over and above to get her attention. And I was literally in this state of depression that I've been in my whole life, where if I didn't get the attention I was seeking, I was unhappy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is what kind of like held you back while you were out trying to talk to girls and wow. That's crazy.
So I made that realization, and the next night I go out, and I remember being in the club and I still was being scared to talk to chicks. And I called Mike Lee in the club, and Mike Lee's like, Joe, the next 10 girls that you want to say hi to, just say hi. Just walk up and start saying hi. And he gave me, basically he said a lot of other cuss words and motivated me and said a lot of like things. I'm very much sugarcoating what he said, but he basically motivated me to go start talking to girls. And I started talking to some girls. Next thing you know, I'm dancing with some girls. I'm having a good time. I'm talking. I'm laughing like I used to. And then just also like in my mind, I'm like, now that I understood why I was so hurt and why I needed girls' attentions. And one of the other biggest realizations from the first book that I forgot to mention is you can't get a girl if you're needy. People can smell your neediness on you from a mile away.
Or thirstiness, right?
Thirsty, needy, same, right?
Girls don't like that.
Dude, girls don't like, and nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it.
Nobody wants to be around a needy ass person.
Yeah.
And I was needy as fuck. And so like I needed attention. I just wanted a friend. So I was being so needy. Once I read that chapter in the book, I literally like could feel my neediness on me.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was like I literally could just sense my own emotion of neediness.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, especially if you're not used to it. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is with this person? Like, get it together. You're an adult.
Yeah, and because I hadn't had friends this whole trip, I was still so needy. I just wanted a friend. Like, I mean, I also wanted to meet a girl, but I also just wanted a friend. And I hadn't met anybody or talked to anybody like that, or like I'd barely made any friends other than like the first day in Ibiza. And so what
were like the ways you were being needy to these girls?
You ever just like seen someone that's like comes up to you and you just can feel that they need and they want something from you?
Yeah.
That's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
I was like that with every girl that I was talking to. They could just sense I like had been lonely, or that I'd been needy, or that I just wanted attention, or I needed someone to talk to. So like, and I'm alone, which made it even weirder. So I'm alone, and this weird American, and being lonely and like needy. And so like,
thank God for Mike Lee over here, telling you to
and then
get up and do it.
Mike Lee like gave me some motivation. Then I started talking to girls the whole night. I'm dancing with a bunch of girls, and I met an amazing girl that was actually another lawyer from Canada. And
how do you keep meeting lawyers? Like everyone you talk to is like, oh, I'm a lawyer. Are you think they're really lawyers?
I mean,
I'm a lawyer. That's crazy. You run into all these lawyers.
The information that we shared, like she was definitely a lawyer.
Yeah. You know what's funny too is you know Mike Lee just telling you, hey, just go and say hi. Because sometimes within the first 5 seconds, you'll know if a girl wants to even talk to you. You'll be like, hey, how you doing? Or they might just keep walking.
Yeah.
You know, that's hilarious.
100%. Yeah, and so I met this lawyer from Canada, and we ended up having a great time hanging out with each other, you know, and we hung out, and basically it was super cool, and she was rad, and basically because I was brave, and we just started talking out of nowhere, and and it was super cool. And then I don't want to get into too much of the details of what ended up happening with her, but
you got lucky.
It was cool. And
so that's why you're smiling. Okay, great.
and then the next night, I went out to the club, and I met a girl there, and gave her my phone number, and she asked me on a date the next day, and so we went on a date. I went on a date with a girl the next day, and then
Oh, look
I
at
got
you.
another girl's number, and I went on a date with her later on in the week, and
So your confidence is like through the roof now, right? Huh?
dude, it was just like it was just like it was not giving. I know it's always the stereotypes, just not giving a fuck. I was just like, even if I don't get attention tonight, I'm still gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna feel good about myself.
Yeah, you're a Joe Boss lawyer. Come on, man.
Well, dude, I mean, trust me, you'd think that I just feel that every single day, but no, dude, I didn't. I felt like a loser every day. And so when I finally made that realization that I was that hurt little boy seeking for women's attention, and now I understood why I was like that. This goes back to the awareness thing. I was aware of my problem, and now that I was aware of it, I knew what to do, which was just stop being this needy little boy and just go and be myself and have a good time. If something happens, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And like also going through like the dating scene and stuff like that and kind of getting back into it, realizing too that dating people at specific times in their lives is like important and paying attention to that, because like I remember I had like a little thing with a younger girl that was like 24, and I had a great time with her and we were hanging out, but then she was still in an emotional state, not over this guy that like really hurt her, and she was going through a lot. And also I just felt like I was giving her a bunch of advice, and I was like kind of like guiding her through life because she hadn't become an adult and gotten to a point where she knew what she wanted. And then there was another friend that I had another girl that I had a fling with, and basically with that girl, she was a little bit older, and she wanted something more serious, and she didn't want a fling, and she wanted to settle down, and so she felt almost like ashamed or weird of the situation that we were in, because she enjoyed my company, and we had a great time, but she just wanted someone to be serious with her. And so just paying attention to the fact that I'm not a kid anymore. I think people probably see me and assume that I want to be like doing something more seriously, and I do want something more serious, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just also respecting other people for where they're at and recognizing where they're at. And if I do have something with someone younger, recognizing that I'm going to have to help them grow up a bit.
Yeah.
Or that they might still be in a stage of growing up, and also with people that are older, like I can't waste their time, just like I shouldn't be wasting my own time in relationships that aren't going anywhere anymore. And so just paying attention to that. And so yeah, Ibiza was where I got back into the dating scene. It was a lot of fun, and I had a great time. Ibiza's just sick, dude.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Back to the relationship thing, like I feel like it's easier to be upfront about that stuff. Like when you're a kid, you're young, you don't care. You're just out there just chasing tail.
Yeah.
You don't care what happens. But like you don't really talk about it. You're like, okay, yeah, next, right?
Yeah.
But like, as you get older, you start to learn like it does matter what people are going through, and when you approach them, and and that's something that you learn.
Yeah, but even more so, dude, when you like sleep with someone, right, or even kiss somebody, you take on like their energies and you take on their karmas, and like you're exchanging energy when you kiss somebody, right?
Yep.
And so when you like, for me, where I had done like a lot of things to kind of like discharge a lot of the energy from like previous partners, and essentially I felt like I was pretty clear in that space. And so like the first girl that I ended up hooking up with, essentially the first girl I ended up hooking up with, like I just felt like I felt a lot of the emotions and things that she was feeling, and like that lingered with me for like weeks afterwards, and like just feeling those emotions and feeling the things that were going on in her life. And for anybody out there, I think for people that are promiscuous, at some point when they've had experience with so many people, I think they're so muddled up with different energies, they don't feel it when they're having an experience with somebody new. But if you're like a little bit clearer, or you don't you're not as promiscuous, when you do hook up with somebody, that energetically can bog you down. And if that person is not clear on their intentions and their energies, you start taking on and feeling the things with them. And especially like where, let's say you were in the interest of like having just a fun fling, but that person has the energy of wanting something serious, and that energy is mixed incorrectly, it can weigh you down.
Yeah, it gets all weird because you're like, well, I don't want that, but you do, and it's just like, well, what do we do with this weird situation?
Yeah, and yeah, I kind of dealt with a situation like that, and I dealt with it as gracefully as I could, and you just have to feel for the other person. And at the end of the day, yeah, Ibiza was amazing. It was beautiful. I had so much fun. The clubs are rad. go. And then I just want to also discuss the thing about Ibiza too is it did have this beautiful party side, but it did also have this other dichotomy of like yoga, art. There was a lot of people that were all about like trying to help create a better planet. And like I ended up like at this random event which was very like conscious individuals. I don't know what's a better lack of a term. Very conscious individuals doing this thing called the up games, where they were playing like a game, but it was like something they did for like a week, where they were designing an ideal future and trying to reverse engineer it so that they could go out into the world and try to bring that future to life.
Oh
It
wow.
was super cool. And
Yeah.
so when I went back to Ibiza the second time, I made some mistakes. I kept trying to hang out with one of the girls that like basically met on the first trip, and she was going through some tough time with a previous relationship, and it was not the move to keep hanging out there. I randomly fell upon this event through a strange series of events. My buddy invited me on a yacht trip, and as we're getting on the tender to the yacht, I see one of my friends that I haven't seen in years, and we go on this yacht, and then they kick us both off this yacht.
Oh my gosh.
And it was the strangest thing. I like
What were you doing, man? Did you have like a weird outfit on?
No, the girl that like had the yacht, she had made like a couple $100 million from selling this hair extension company. And so I think that she just wanted a bunch of like guys that she knew, because she just wanted to hang out with, like, it was the opposite situation of most boats, which is like some weird old wealthy dude wanting like a bunch of, you know, cool younger people and like girls on the boat. This was a young girl that like made a bunch of money at like 30 or something like that, and she just wanted all the young boy toys that she wanted on the boat. And basically,
You weren't a young boy toy?
well, she wanted only people that she knew. So I got kicked off, and through a series of events, basically ended up going with my friend that I hadn't seen in years. She's like, do you want to come to this mansion that's owned by the Sony people that own Sony company? So they own
What?
Sony. And I end up in this huge mansion, which was super cool. And she's walking me around this place. She starts telling me about the up games that they're going to participate in. And they invited me to go participate in it. And here, one sec. Let me show you some.
Yeah, let me see some photos of this mansion.
Let me see here. Where is this? You know what? I didn't put any photos or videos of this mansion. I apologize.
It's
you
okay,
know
man.
what? Actually, it's because it was on the second time I went there. Got it.
Boom.
Okay. So this was like the mansion that I went to. Okay. Which was super cool, beautiful mansion, just like overlooking the hills in Ibiza, which was super rad. And from there, David, so I'm moving
Man, that
way
looks
too
like-
fast, but it's super cool. And
So
just, like,
zen.
so zen. Yeah, it was very feng shui, very zen. And this is where the up games were held for part of it, and another place. And those are my friends. And then the up games, like this up games too, like, dude, they like had this whole thing set up, and like,
What do
they
you do
literally-
at the up games?
So they broke them up into like 4: fire, earth, wind, water, and they basically talked about like renewable energies, psychological things. And like, do you see this dinner table?
Yeah, I was looking at this. I'm like,
Okay,
man,
look at
what a
this.
feast.
Everything here is vegan, organic, and just like the healthiest food I've ever eaten in my entire life. And every meal was like art.
It looks delicious.
Dude, it was delicious. It was amazing. And I had so much fun like hanging out with these individuals, and this was the Up Games group. And so like this was like still me understanding that I was on a part of my journey where I was making some bad decisions. Like, for example, the last night, which was right after this was the last day, they had this amazing party that they were setting up for, and I was like in a rush to leave because I wanted to go to a club for my last night in Ibiza when I was at this conscious party with smart individuals that were like trying to have this beautiful experience with live instruments. And I made a horrible decision, and I went to the club with the girl that was having issues with her previous guy, and I just was making decisions being that hurt little boy instead of doing what my heart was telling me I wanted to
Yeah.
do, which was staying at this amazing event with these people.
You were following the wrong head, huh?
That's on the wrong head. You're 1,000% correct. And following that head gets you into a lot of trouble, man.
Yeah.
And a simple thing to always remember is, like, even when you're walking and standing, like, lead with your heart, man, and make sure your heart is leading in front of your genitalia, because if your heart is not in front of your genitalia, you lead with your genitalia. Yeah, and I made some bad decisions. I regret it. I regret not staying for that last night. And so they're actually going to probably invite me back next year. So I think I want to go back to the next up games that they have and participate in it fully, which would be really rad.
So did you participate in like any of the up games?
Yeah, a lot of people gave presentations. One girl did like a sound frequency vibration, which with her voice, where she like was showing how it an effect on your molecular level. This other person, they did like a exercise where they were. It was a sexual tantric exercise where they had people get into partners, and she showed us an example. And like she got with the girl, and she like had one girl like she like not touching herself actually, but like pretending to like be sexually like pleasuring herself. And she was like moaning, and she's like, I want you to be like moaning or pretending you're giving yourself sexual pleasure. And then she pretended to be like an adult figure yelling at her saying, don't touch yourself, don't act like that, don't be sexual, don't do these things, and like trying to like show you how we have traumas in our bodies from these experiences. And for me, she asked us to partner up, and she's like, if you don't feel comfortable partnering up, don't do it. I couldn't partner up. I felt too uncomfortable trying to do the sexual thing because I've noticed like I have sexual traumas from my youth that I'm not okay with. So basically, like, I noticed from like her doing this exercise, when she asked us to partner up, I was ashamed. And when the girl was like moaning or like going through her sexual experience and like pretending to have like a sexual experience and like expressing herself more and more and more, it made me feel super, super like inward. And like, you know, like when it comes to like sexuality, I've never been like super expressive about that. And I'm working on that. And I think it's just being raised in a very strict and like conservative Middle Eastern culture, you know, told to be respective and be conservative and not really expressing ourselves in that way. So when they were doing this exercise, I couldn't even participate. And yeah, just like very conscious individuals, and they were all coaches or they were all teachers.
What was this supposed to like teach you?
It's teaching you to like break through, like to learn to express yourself and like to be okay with sexually expressing yourself, even if someone is trying to like stop you, because it was like a representation of society which says like, don't express yourself sexually, hide that part of you, do not be open about that stuff, do not express those things. And it was really powerful, and it like hurt my feelings and almost made me want to cry when I was sitting there, because I was so sad that I can imagine being in a room with people, like even going through this exercise would be like, you know, making these noises or expressing my sexuality because I feel so ashamed for some reason about those things.
I see.
Yeah, and so that was like one of the exercises. And so it's like it was different things like this. And then, you know, amazing meals. And like one exercise was one girl, we wrote a song live and we were all singing it together. And like it was a very... I don't know for what the purpose. Most people would probably call it hippie type of experience. You know,
they all look like hippies.
Yeah, very much Burning Man type vibe type stuff. But everyone was just expressing themselves, and they were all teachers, and it was really cool.
Why is it called Up Games?
I forget.
Yeah,
But
is it supposed to be like uplifting or?
It's called Up.Games. Yeah, I'll get some more details about it. But yeah, but Ibiza was beautiful, man, and I'm really glad I went. It was a super awesome experience. And then, yeah, the big takeaways from Ibiza: if you want to party and you're looking for the ultimate bachelorette party experience, go to Ibiza. I think it's 100 times better than Vegas because you have the beaches. You can go chill during the day. You can see like the beautiful side of the islands, and the sunsets are magical. Like the food was great. It was really, really special place. Yeah. And then if you want to party, you can party. And then
even on a Monday.
Even on a Monday. Yeah. Yeah, but after the second time that I went back, dude, the place I stayed in, I went back during main season. Guess how much my apartment cost for a week?
Yeah, I don't know how much your apartment cost the first time around.
Oh, it was like $150 a night.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, so for a week it was $3,000.
Oh my gosh, dude. You like to party, huh?
I had a super nice suite with an ocean view. Yeah. But most of the places where you would be spending at least $1,000.
Wait, so you went back to Ibiza after Yacht Week?
After I went to Belize.
Okay.
I went to Belize and then I went home. We're gonna get into that later.
But where was Yacht Week? Because I'm getting confused. You were at Yacht Week and then you went to Up Games?
No, I went from Madrid to Ibiza.
Okay.
So I was still in Spain.
Okay.
And then from Ibiza, I went back to Italy to hang out with my parents.
Okay.
So I went back to Ibiza or to Sicily to go hang out with my parents.
Where were these Up Games at?
It was just on another part of the island.
Oh, okay.
So this was all still in Ibiza. And I'm
Yeah.
really glad that I got introduced to that side of Ibiza, because before that I thought it was just a degenerate fucking stronghold for people going to party. And like honestly, like I remember the first time I left, I was like, dude, I'm sick of partying. And I didn't think I'd ever say that in my life, but I was like, I'm like actually
Yeah.
sick of partying. And the second time when I left, I went from, so I'm talking about the first time I left Ibiza, I went to Sicily. The second time
Okay.
that I left, I did go straight to Yacht Week in Croatia. So I'm
Okay.
muddling the two together because of the
I see.
sake
I
of,
was just getting confused on your timeline here.
no, I understand.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I did end up going to Croatia, and I actually was sick because I partied too much on the second time I went back to Ibiza, because yeah, like same thing. I was up for like, you know, you party a couple nights in a row. I was on a complete nighttime schedule. I was working during the day because I was working during this trip, and I just basically burnt myself out. And yeah, the amount I was drinking, it was too much. But Ibiza's great, and also I want to say too, some of the most beautiful women on the planet in Ibiza. A lot of the most wealthy people on the planet go there. There's yachts, mega yachts that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, mansions that are worth tens of millions of dollars, and just to give you an idea of how crazy it is, one of the biggest parties was called the Paradise Party. It was on a Wednesday night. It was their opening party. I remember the first part of the trip that I went. And my friends told me, we're not going to get to the club till 3 a.m. And I was like, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you're going to get there at 3 a.m? And they were right. I got there at midnight, which was stupid. I left the club at like, God, I sound like such a degenerate. I left at like 9 a.m., okay?
It's okay.
And I'm leaving this club, and dude, there's still 10,000 people in this club at 9 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not talking about like kind of raging. I'm like talking about like raging. Let me show you. Before we end this episode, I'm gonna show a couple photos from Ibiza. This was like us at.
Joe, I think we've all been degenerates at one point here.
I mean, most people just aren't still degenerates at this point.
We party while the sun's out until it goes down, until it comes back up.
This was us at like 10 a.m. or 9 a.m., whatever it was, still like raging and like wanting to leave. And then this is a video.
Is that Rick?
Yeah, that was Rick. Yeah, and this was 9 a.m. Do you
Oh
see,
my
time out,
gosh.
do you see empty space on the dance floor?
No.
No.
Jeez Louise.
Look at that. Just look at that. Do you see that? Not a space on the dance floor.
Look at all those people there at
Raging.
9 a.m.
Raging. Yeah, so that was crazy. These were the Italians that I met the first night I was there.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. This was the club DC10. Just basically like, you know, nightclubs. I don't know if any of these videos are going to make it. And then there is High Bathroom. This is where I got robbed. As you can see, it's very distracting.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see the roof?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That roof is crazy.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. The
I dig
bathroom
it.
party was the sickest party in all of Ibiza.
Yeah.
And that's where I got robbed. I kept going back there even after I got robbed. I was like, I don't even care.
Yeah. That was like,
Yeah, that's actually who I was dancing with the bachelorette party before I got robbed 10 seconds before. So
oh my
there's
gosh.
that.
You know what? You know what, Joe? You called us, and I wasn't shocked that you got robbed. It was weird.
Actually, I called you when I was at Ushuaia. I was at Ushuaia.
I was at a wedding.
Here's
and-
Ushuaia. This is the club I was at when I called you.
yeah.
It's the ants party.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ants there.
I mean, dude, it's just all these videos I'm going to show you is just people raging in a club. It's sick. But I actually have one funny story before we close Ibiza. Okay, so we went to Pasha one night, and I didn't have earplugs because I left them at home before I went on the trip. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should just take some tissues, spin it up, and put it in your ear, and you'll be fine."
Oh,
so I
God.
did it. Okay. Next morning, I go into the beach because every morning I actually was really in my rhythm in Ibiza. I would go straight to the beach every morning. I would go stretch. I would do some yoga, exercise on the beach a bit, and I would go in there. And after I get out of the water, I'm like, why can I not hear out of one of my ears? I'm like, what is going on?
Oh,
I have swimmer's
dear.
ear. I'm like, oh no, there's something in there. And I realized, oh, it must be the tissue from last night. So I go back to my room like Q-tipping it out, and I get out like a big chunk of black stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I was cool. I could hear
Black
again.
stuff.
It was a tissue, black tissue.
Oh.
Yeah, what do you think it was?
Yeah, I was
Alien?
like, there's black stuff in your ear? Jeez.
Dude. And so I pull it out, okay, and then the next night, the next morning, I go back in the water, and I hear it again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I start taking a Q-tip, or not a Q-tip. Now I'm taking tweezers because I'm trying to like get it out, and I like scratch my eardrum a tiny bit because I'm like, and I'm pulling out like little pieces, and then I'm like, dude, I need to go to the emergency room. Like, this is serious. I go in there, and basically, I go to the doctor at urgent care, and he just like, thank God he spoke English. And I just tell him what happened, and he goes, all right, let me get the thing to look in my ear. He looks in there, and he's like, oh, yeah. You got like a caterpillar growing inside of that thing right now. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Gosh.
And he's all like, dude, there's a lot of tissue in this ear. Like, and thank God it was just one ear, but he's like, there's a lot in there.
It's like, that's why you can't hear me.
Dude, like, and then he takes like this, it's a whole thing. He like took this bottle, squirting a bunch of water in there. I'm like hearing it. It's like getting it wet so he can move it. He's like, it took like an hour, and he takes the tweezers. Finally, he's like big enough. He's pulling it out. So this is gross, but I'm going to show you guys.
Oh my gosh.
So this is what he pulled out of my ear.
Ugh.
That was in there living.
It looks like two big bugs.
Yeah. It was the size of
That's
two big
disgusting.
bugs. I can't believe that was still in my ear.
Was your ear like hurting?
It was. I was in pain. That's why I went to the urgent care.
Yeah.
So,
Like, what happened? I was partying last night. I don't know. There's something in my ear. I can't hear anything.
yeah. So now I can hear you clearly. I should keep those in there. But, yeah. So I got those out, and that was cool.
Why were you putting them in your ears in the first place?
Dude, the sound in Ibiza, it's ruined my hearing. Like, these clubs,
It's just so loud in there.
Dude, it's so loud. Like, you can't even talk to girls in the club because it's so loud. Like, I couldn't hear myself think. And the speaker systems are insane. When I went back the second time, I definitely had my eargasm earplugs. I recommend everybody gets them if you go to nightclubs because you can still hear people normally. It just lowers the decibels.
Yeah.
And, dude, it was just so loud. And so on that note, Ibiza was super cool. I had a good time. I highly recommend. I'll definitely go back to Ibiza again. I just don't think 2 weeks is necessary. You can go for a week, do everything you need to do, and get out of there.
Yeah. Did you go to was there just like a specific club you're going to? Because you went to like 2 or 3 clubs. Like, I mean, if you're there for 2 weeks, weren't you going to like other places? Like, did they have like some beach parties?
There were not a lot of beach parties.
Oh, because it was off season, huh?
Well, no. Even in the seasons, there's beach parties, but they're like day clubs on the beach.
Oh, I
cool.
see.
Yeah, so they're cool. But I guess that's what you meant by beach parties.
Yes.
There's some which were cool, and then I went to Formentera Beach. Let me show you just a quick video of Formentera. These were the most beautiful white beaches I've ever been to. If you're looking for beautiful white beaches, and like this is not a good one.
Oh yeah.
1 second here. There we go. If you're looking for beautiful white beaches,
Oh my God, that's
like,
beautiful.
It was absolutely gorgeous. You could see all the way through. It's like super clear, gorgeous, like really, really nice. And it just like you hang out on the beach here. If you want to go fully nude, you can. Like, nobody cares about that. It's not like weird like in America. And they have nice like restaurants on the beach, and basically you can see completely clear through the water. Boats are parked along. And when I went, it was off season. You can't see anybody on the beach. When I went back the second time, there were thousands and thousands of people on the beach. It was crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was gorgeous.
How were like the restaurants there?
It was actually really good. Delicious seafood, good food. Yeah, Formentera was super cool. If you go to Ibiza, you have to go to Formentera.
Formentera. What kind of food is that?
It was like a seafood restaurants. They were all super expensive. If you want to save money, do not eat on the beaches of Formentera for like.
I think nobody eats in that. That's probably why it's expensive. They're like,
it was like 200 euros for like 2 of us just to eat a couple meals. Like, it was expensive. Yeah, I don't recommend. Okay, cool. So on that note, we're gonna leave Ibiza and we're gonna head to Sicily. We're gonna go to Sicily, which was the next part of my trip.
Mm-hmm.